Hello, welcome to the channel again, guys. Today's video is about Seikos. I'm talking about 5 watches I've seen, I've handled, and I am going to recommend these watches. But why? That's what we're going to cover. I'm going to try and talk as brief as possible about each one. Let's get on with it. The first one I'm going to talk about is the first Seiko I ever bought. And that was, I bought something from Creation Watches, and I've also bought others from Amazon. It's the SNK. The black dial one is the 809. The first one I bought had the green dial. I love these watches because you can still get them today. They really fluctuate in price. They should be not much more than £100. I have seen them as low as £76. Some people are going to tell me on here they saw them for 50p on the internet, and I don't think that would be a real one. But the point is, they're still very affordable. They're a bit antiquated now. They've got the 7S26 movement, and what you have to do with that is it's called the Seiko Shuffle. Anyone who doesn't know what that is, it looks a bit dodgy if you go walking around doing this. Effectively, the only way you can charge the movement up is with the rotor spinning around. It doesn't have the little hand winding you can do on most modern watch movements when you turn the crown. So it's a bit dated still as a movement, but then that therefore makes the watch more affordable because it's an old movement. It goes into one of these. The other thing that's lovely about it is a nice 38mm case size. It's light, it's comfortable, bead blasted case. It's got the hardlex crystal. I think I scratched one once just by looking at it. I think my eye was sharp enough to literally damage the crystal. So I warn you. But the good thing is it's a modder's dream. You can change the dial, change the hands, and you can definitely change the crystal if you're a bit of a dab hand with a few tools, like I have been in the past. You can change the crystal out to double dome sapphire, for example. And the beauty of sapphire is, if it has AR coating, you still have the clarity and you have scratch resistance, so you don't have those ghastly scratches on the face of your watch. And it's special in my heart because it was the gateway drug into watch collecting. So I either have a lot to thank this watch for, or I have a lot of bones to pick because it's been unfortunately opening the floodgates to seeing a movement inside a watch doing its thing and going, oh my God, I've got a mechanical thing on my wrist. It's so cool. It's better than those Casios I kept buying, which I still love. But to have something mechanical at around £100-ish or dollars is amazing. It's got rugged charm, pilot style dial, excellent loom still. Like I said, wearable size, bit of a scratchy but rugged and tough strap that matches the colour of the dial. You can modify it. It's going to be reliable, plenty of colour choices. It's an absolute winner. Love it. Next one is a watch from the 90s, rocketed in price. Another video I'm going to do is about why I think it's overpriced, and what is still available today is another Japanese alternative, just a FYI that will be coming. It's the SKX 007, or the 009 with a different colour bezel insert. It's got cult status because it's a tall watch. It was ISO rated. I think it's 6425 is the ISO rating code. And that basically means every single watch, when they made it, was literally tested. They checked it that it was water resistant, and that is an expensive thing to do. And Seiko, being a massive organization or part of an even bigger umbrella, I think it's the Epson group, they like to make lots of money, and that is the aim of business from my understanding. And in the whole scheme of things, the amount of divers that there are in the entire world that are active apparently is about 120 to 130,000 people that are PADI registered. Someone out there is going to do some lazy Google research the same as me and maybe correct me, and please do in the comments. But long story short, if you're selling millions of watches, do you really need them to be buying a watch for £100 to £200 that's gone through all that expensive ISO testing for it to be a proper ISO rated diver? No. That's why I think if you're going to get a watch which has that charm and look of the 90s classic, don't spend £400 or £500, even £600 that people are trying to charge for new old stock of those watches. Just don't bother. Unless you're an avid collector, it's too much money for what it should be a basic cheap watch. The point I'm getting at is the SRPD, I'm wearing it now. I modded this watch. Again, this is part of the modding culture. It's got that look, and they've downgraded the abilities of this watch from 200 meters down to 100 meters. And the sacrilege of that is nothing really. I don't know many people that go scuba diving, and I don't know anyone who has been scuba diving go deeper than 40 or 50 meters. 200 meters is very deep. I can imagine if you are going to those extremes, you're not going to be wearing potentially a watch nowadays. Anyway, you're probably wearing a dive computer, so we get far too nerdy about water resistance ratings, etc. The SRPD, for me, is the alternative you should get. I love it because it's very modifiable still. It's a sports watch, so 100 meters is perfectly acceptable. It's got a better movement, which has hacking and hand winding, whereas the old one had that clunky 7S26 movement. You still get hardlex crystal, and you still get all those charming features that made the original watch from the 90s so attractive, but you get it in unbelievable amount of limited editions, color options, color choices. They whack the price up and they still sell them by the bazillion, which means Seiko are making loads of money. That's what it's about. But you don't have to spend loads of money to get one of these. The RRP is about 300. I paid £189 for this, plus about £100 on modifying bits, but call it still about £300. You can still get a lovely watch made by Seiko, modified by you for an affordable amount of money. And that is so much fun. I love it. Number 3 on this list is a watch I bought and I regret selling. And I'll probably buy one again. But a friend of mine bought one again and it reminded me why this has to be on the list. The exact model I bought was the SUR 307P1. And that's the silver dial. And the numbers at the end are basically different colorways. You can get it in blue or black. You can get a slightly smaller one. They're really hard to find, but this is the 40mm case size, 8mm thick, sapphire crystal, solid link bracelet. Solid end links, no, but it has a nice press clasp, and it's one of those rare Seikos where every element of its construction, even though you would presume a press clasp would be feeling cheap and chintzy, you presume the hollow end links would feel cheap and rattly and loose. For some miraculous reason, this range of watches, I've seen a few of them now, I've seen 3, they've all been extremely lovely. The build quality is exceptional, the bracelet's very comfortable, it's easy to size up, it wears really well. It's a cuff of a sleeve's dream because it tucks under there being only 8mm. It won't get scratched up because it has the sapphire. It's a classy looking, everyday wear, beautiful watch. Yes, it's quartz, but that allows it to be 8mm thick, which makes it just feel like an elegant timepiece. They really range in prices, but they're always under £200. I get them on Amazon. You see them in jewelers still today. H. Samuel, for example, in the UK. They do titanium versions. They do ones with green dials and a bit of gold detailing. They've brought out new colorways, one that has like a teal color to it. You're spoiled for choice. Fantastic option for those of you who want something which just looks like a good standard everyday wear, really reliable, quartz movement Seiko. You cannot go wrong. Absolutely love it. And the icing on the cake for this watch, especially if you go for the black dial version, it looks like a hybrid blend between a very famous watch, the Saab 33, which is discontinued, and it's also got essence of Grand Seiko about it. Only an essence, like a light seasoning, and that's because it has that elegance, simplicity, and what it does well, it does very well. I'm a big fan, and so should you be. Next up is a watch I bought and I sold. I regret selling it actually. It's one of my few big regrets of this whole list because they've gone up to silly money now, but I sold it because I'm mildly greedy and I wanted to get some money back to buy more watches to share with you guys. I had the 35 variant of the Saab range. The Saab 035 is the silvery champagne coloured dial version. There's a 33, which everyone generally knows if you're into the whole watch circle. It's the black dial version. A very beautiful, simplistic, automatic Seiko. All the right details. Solid end links, solid bracelet, push pins, milled clasp, sapphire crystal with AR coating, impeccable fit and finish, rugged forearm movement with a lovely rotor that has a gear shape pattern on it. It's an attractive watch which just blends in with whatever you're wearing. It's sporty, it's got 100 meters water resistance, 38mm. It's a sweet spot for so many things. That's why it's frustrating that it was discontinued. And the things that have replaced it are a lot more money. Because when the Saab was around and it was floating around reasonable affordability and it was still in the shops and it's still online, it's about £300 to £400. And that I would say is one of the best watches you could buy anywhere for under £500. But now they're silly money. So the alternative, we were going to go rewinding again, is that SUR 307, for example, or the different colorways with the different color dials, a thinner quartz variant, or if you want to splash out, try and find yourself a used Presage Sharp Edge, because they replace the Saab lineup with a lot of the Presage line, and they are a lot more money. You can find used ones and you can find bargains occasionally. All the watches that I'm discussing here, apart from the fully discontinued ones, you generally can get good deals on them. So it's good hunting around on, if you're in the UK hot deals, go on Amazon every other day and just keep looking at the watches. They can vary between days, some watches by 40 or 50 pounds. Same if you go to other jewelers, they got stock they just want to shift. I saved a lot of money by buying this from a jewelers, they just wanted to shift it. So keep your eyes peeled. Last and definitely not least is a watch which I borrowed from my friend Jim, and a watch I made a video about, which involved me literally reenacting badly in the woods near where I live. This is the kind of guy I am. scenes from Predator, but the Predator wasn't this alien with green blood. It was my dog Buddy, and I didn't kill him for the sake of the video like Arnie did. Sorry if there's a spoiler there if you've not seen Predator, but it's the watch that my hero, the love of my life, Arnie. If I ever get to meet him, I probably will be able to tick the biggest of all the ticks in my bucket list. I would say to him, have you still got that watch? It is the SNJ025 is the model that is as close as possible to the watch he's worn in two of my favourite Arnie films, Predator and a corny, ultra classic, one of the best action films ever made, 90 minutes of pure action pleasure where over 100 people get murdered by Arnie. Commando. Epic film. Absolutely love it. And this watch is iconic because he wears it. I love this watch because that man, that hero of mine, wore that watch in the movies. He used it to time the 11 hours, the flight going to that pretend South American country to rescue his daughter was in Commando. He jumps out of an aeroplane at over 200 miles an hour and lands safely in what looks like the Everglades to effectively get his Seiko, start the timer, and that's how long he's got before the plane lands, and they work out, oh, he's not on the plane. He's meant to come here and kill some guy we wanted to kill. But I love that. I love that he actually used his watch as a tool. I love it in Predator that he's just wearing that in the jungle, and it's the kind of environment you just imagine some badass is going to run around with a flipping huge gun killing aliens or killing bad guys everywhere wearing a watch like that, because it's a proper tall watch. It's a beast of a thing, but it's wearable for many people. Still buy this watch today. It's less than £500, around 400. It's a watch which has got that cult history. If you're a movie buff and a movie fanatic like me with my hero Arnie, wearing a watch like that was his personal watch. He chose to wear that. I'm like, I already like it for that reason. But it is actually a tall watch. It's 200 meters water resist. It's a diving beast. It's got big buttons. It's got timer. It's an Annie Digi, so it's got that retro cool that you get from the 80s. And it's got some wrist presence, but it's still got some wearability because it's got a decent lug to lug length. Yes, it's thick and chunky, but that helps make it look and feel like a proper watch, but it's not heavy. It just works. If you're a big butch manly man, it'll work. If you're just a regular person, it will work. If you like gadgety, fun, silly things like I do, this is a good way to finish this list. If you want to have something silly with a bit of movie history to it, a bit of iconic status, like many Seikos have, I would thoroughly recommend this watch, the Arnie. But don't forget to subscribe. Do it now. I'm sorry for that impression. I hope it wasn't too bad, but I do try. I must move on now. Get to the next video. And in the next video, it's going to be me talking about something else far more interesting than this, of course. If you love hearing me talk about Seikos, click on one of these other videos. You will be indulging in more viewing spectacle, which is a silly man talking about watches I think you should buy. And I really hope you join me for the journey. It's been a pleasure sharing this one with you. Bye for now.